All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we're going to be giving you guys our quarterback rankings, our NFL Seekers consensus top 10 quarterback rankings. And it's a combined ranking based on all three of our host rankings. And we're less than a week away from some football, boys. How are you guys feeling with that?
Man, I'm so excited for football to get here. It's so close, but yeah, it feels like it's taking forever. We haven't done, a couple of us have some main leagues we're in, some big leagues. We haven't even done our drafts yet. That's how long we wait. I just want to get our drafts going. And I want to get football started. I cannot wait for this season to get up and running.
Just a few more days till our draft.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. We got a little taste of college football today, and it felt so good. It felt so normal, felt so good. The first play I watched was a 70-yard touchdown. Absolutely electric. Dan was actually at the game. But our beloved Utah Utes. But just if that play and just the electricness and feeling like the stadium vibes even through the phone, dude, was just fun. I'm so ready for it.
Dan, honest, you have to answer this honestly. After that first play, when Money Parks made that, what did you do? What was your reaction?
I was surprised, man. I thought the game was going to end like 7-3. I did not expect that at all. The first play of the game for an electric play like that, I was surprised. That's all.
Did you like get up and cheer, or did you sit and pout because you're a BYU fan now?
I got up. I got up, but I got up and I was pretty surprised. I was like, wow, I didn't expect that from their backup quarterback. But yeah, Florida got absolutely annihilated, and it's fun to watch some football and to see the action. It's crazy. It's back.
Oh man. Oh man, what is it? We're 1 week away as we're filming right now, right?
Exactly 1 week until the Chiefs play the Lions, man.
Woo! That's gonna be a fun one. Chiefs versus Lions is gonna be absolutely electric. I would love to see the Lions just give them a good old fashioned butt whooping.
Imagine they go into Kansas City and just win. That'd be
Dude,
awesome.
don't sleep on the Lions. Who's okay? Score predictions. We have to do this. NFL Seekers first game of the year score predictions. Shane, you go first.
Just real quick before you give your prediction, we are gonna have an episode. We're gonna have a week one preview episode just a few days before the season. So
yeah,
we will have one of those, but let's
throw out.
That's why I started smiling and hesitated because I was like, "Aren't we doing this next week?"
Let's just hear your initial prediction.
All right, it's gonna be 28-16 Chiefs.
Oh, boo.
What about you, Josh?
I'm gonna go 31-28 Lions.
Oh my god.
I think the Lions are gonna go in there with their heads on fire. And I think they're gonna knock off the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will start out rusty and then they'll just go insane. But they lost to Orlando Brown. But Chris Jones is gonna be holding out, huh?
Yes.
He's not gonna be playing. All it comes down to Travis Kelce and Mahomes and what magic they work with Andy Reid. But I think the Lions roster from bottom end to top end is better, and I like the Lions coaching, so I wouldn't be surprised. The Lions are kind of a sleeper. They would be a sleeper team to go and knock off Kansas City. So 31-28
Lions or Chiefs?
Lions.
Oh my
Lions, baby.
He's a bold man. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to pick the Lions. I was thinking about it, but the more I think about it, they're going to be unveiling their new Super Bowl banner. The Kansas City fans are going to be absolutely crazy people there. So I just feel like the atmosphere there will put the Chiefs over the top barely. It's probably going to be pretty high scoring and close. I would say like 31-28. It's going to be close, but I do think the Chiefs will end up winning with that home field advantage.
All right. So 2-1 Chiefs. I'm the underdog per usual, but that's how we like to be.
Yeah, and during the season we'll keep track of all our bets. We'll have like a little friendly wagers going on to see who does the best. But yeah, you guys want to get into our quarterback rankings? I feel like we're gonna have a lot to discuss.
Yes, yeah, we have a lot to discuss with this first one.
Yeah, we'll get into our first guy. There's some disparity between all three of our rankings. It is New York Giants quarterback Danny Dimes. We have him as our QB 10. He's being drafted as the QB 16. He comes in at my quarterback 15. Josh has him at 10, and Shane has him at 9. So we're definitely pretty high on him collectively. And I think the biggest reason is the whole Vanilla Vic thing that Brian Daboll really leaned into. They completely just opened up their offense when they started leaning into him in the run game, and he can definitely get the job done in the run game, and he's a pretty good complement to Saquon. And as a passer, he really took a step up. He He's really accurate, and he just played really safe football, which was his biggest criticism the last few years was turnovers. So he played really safe with the ball. Dable was the perfect complement to him, and it's obvious he's going to take a bigger step up with Waller coming over. So I definitely like having him as our quarterback 10. I have like Anthony Richardson ranked ahead of him because I just love upside, and I just have a gut feeling with Anthony Richardson, so I'm higher on him than most people. But I do have Daniel Jones one spot higher than ADP. I will say that. I know you guys are going to grill me for where I have him, but I don't mind Daniel Jones. It's just there's some good quarterbacks.
Well, I'll go ahead because I'm the highest on Daniel Jones. For starters, where you can get him in about the 12th round or so, that's an absolute steal. Last year, he finished as the quarterback 9 with the weapons he had last year. Some weeks, Isaiah Hodgins was his number 1 guy. Daniel Bellinger was a relevant piece. Old man Sterling Shepard, who tore his ACL again last year, or his Achilles or whatever it was last year, was a relevant piece. They were all over the board with weapons for who he was throwing to. This year, you bring in a true number 1 alpha in Darren Waller, and he still has all those other guys around him. It's only up from here. So you add that in there. Plus, with his rushing upside, last year he had over seven rushing attempts a game. So he had 7 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's the type of late round quarterback you want. He's versatile. The last year he was pretty inconsistent. That was his I'd say that was his red flag. But this year I think bringing in Darren Waller will help with his consistency. But yeah, I think Dan, you're crazy to have him that low.
Yeah, flat out just disrespectful to the Dimes, Danny. Especially when you share the same name. It hurts the soul a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Danny, you said it, bro. Vanilla Vic. Mr. Danny Dimes out here running for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's the kind of upside that my boy Danny likes. And I'm not talking about Danny Dimes. And so I guess I'm a little shook why you have him at 15. And going into year 2 with Dable. I mean, I'm thinking about Josh Allen developing with Brian Dable, and it was just night and day difference from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 even. I mean, he progressed and got better every single year. And so, I mean, Daniel Jones played really safe, good football last year, and the running upside is there. So, I mean, what did he finish, Shane? I think I heard you say it.
9.
Yeah, he's quarterback 9. I don't see him regressing at all. I only see him improving with Waller and getting a guy like Jalen Hyatt who's going to take the top off of defenses. And I even think Darius Slayton's going to be a really good, have a better bounce back year and be more relevant too. So I really like the Giants offense, and I think Daniel Jones takes a even bigger step up. And I think he'll bring his touchdown total up to more in the 20s. So I mean, he was only at 15 last year, and I think that's a positive progression coming forward. So I think we'll see 20 touchdowns and about the same rushing numbers.
Sounds like you need to move him up, Stores.
I still got 9 guys I like more than him.
I'll be completely honest. You guys are kind of making me like move him up here on the spot. Like, so a few guys I have right in front of him are really high floor quarterbacks like Tua, Geno Smith, and Kirk Cousins, who obviously if Tua's out there, he showed last year he can have a high floor. But honestly, you could easily move Danny Dimes over all 3 of them, especially Kirk and Geno. So I think I could put Danny Dimes as my 12th quarterback right now. I don't know if I could put him over Dak and Anthony Richardson. I feel like he's really close to Dak, and then Anthony Richardson is just I just think his upside's ridiculous. But I do think I am a little bit low on him, and collectively we're all very high on him as the NFL Seekers group. So I do like being high on Danny Dimes because you guys definitely did mention like he's a low floor, but he has a rushing upside that a lot of these quarterbacks he's being drafted next to don't. So I definitely see what you're saying.
Absolutely. Think about the Dable progression. That's going to be like my biggest thing towards him. I really think he's going to take a big leap in year 2. Being familiar and going into a second year with an offense, it's going to be more comfortable. The plays are going to be better. The receivers are going to know it better. I mean, overall, collectively, the Giants should be better.
And to be able to get a top 10 quarterback in the 12th round, that's a true steal right there. The next guy we're going to talk about, the amount of question marks he has, and kind of what he showed at the end of last year. He's being drafted at the beginning of the 8th round. That's crazy to me. That these our number 9 guy is 4 rounds ahead of Danny Dimes.
Yeah, at his ADP, he probably is going to be the biggest steal quarterback we'll talk about, because the other 9 are kind of being drafted at appropriate ranges. So yeah, Danny Dimes going as the end of the 11th, early 12th round. That's absurd value. You can get someone that you can trust as a starter that late. So definitely get him if you can stash him as a backup, especially on it as your quarterback. I love that. I love Danny Dimes.
Yeah, let's get into our number 9, boys.
All right. We'll get into our NFL Seekers number 9. It is the very volatile and controversial Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. We have him as our QB9, and he's being drafted as the QB10. Me and Josh both have him at 9. Shane has him at 12. And I'm really just confident that he's going to take a big step up as a passer this year. Last time we saw the guy, he was a top 4 quarterback in the NFL. And
yeah. Last time we saw the guy, he was a bum.
Sorry. Last time we saw the guy play a full season, he was a top 4 quarterback in the NFL. Last time we saw the guy, he played like a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL. So he'll probably meet somewhere in the middle. He'll probably be like a 10 to 15 quarterback. And I think with the team around him, he's got a really solid team around him. Stefanski calling plays is nice, and one of the better offensive lines, and he's got some new weapons. So I do think the Browns are just going to have a really productive season, and Deshaun Watson's just good enough to get the job done. He really is a good quarterback, and he's still in his prime. He hasn't really dropped off physically. It's all mental. Literally, the Browns' whole season just relies on his mental. If he can overcome the mental adversity that he's gone through, that's literally it. So the upside is pretty tremendous. Deshaun Watson going in the 8th round as a QB10. I think it's very well worth it.
I think he's gross for where he's going. Personally, I feel like I'm a little bit too high on him at 12. We saw what we saw out of him last year. We can't just throw that away. I mean, that's still who he was. It's not like he was sitting around not preparing at all season. He was still, for the most part, practicing, whether it was on his own. I guess because he was suspended. Technically, was he even allowed to be with the team?
He was allowed to be with the team.
Okay, so he was still around the team. He was still preparing, and then he comes out and drops. You finished 30th, 14th, 21st, 20th, and the last 2 weeks probably against practice squad guys, 8th and 6th. So last year definitely made me look down on him, and just with him sitting out. His weapons are good, not great. Amari Cooper, he's all reliable, but he's getting older. And I mean, when this dude Deshaun Watson came in last year, he absolutely crumbled all his weapons value. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I love Amari Cooper. I had him last year. I want him again. He's a great value. He's a great steal in drafts, but I just don't see a world where this dude gets back to where he was when he was with the Texans.
Yeah, that's tough. You're the pessimist right there. And I'm going to be the optimist. And as Danny said, the last time Deshaun Watson played a full season of football, granted, it was 2020 with the Texans, 4,800 passing yards, 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions with 440 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, he's just so well-rounded and versatile. And I just think if we can just, I mean, the talent, we know the talent is there. Deshaun Watson is talented. He is good at football. But like Danny said, it's a mental game right now, and he's got to somehow get over and overcome that. And I think going into year 2 now with the Browns, I think he's going to be more comfortable. I think he's going to be more in, game ready shape. He's taking hits, he's back in the football grind. And so I'm going to be an optimist and say, because I mean, he was flat out terrible last year. I mean, it was pretty gross watching him. I almost wanted to root for Jacoby Brissett, coming back and getting the starting job, because Jacoby Brissett played a whole heck of a lot better. But who Deshaun Watson is and the talent that he is, he's just too talented to not, improve. And so I'm going with the upside of Deshaun Watson. And I mean, I don't love, where he's being drafted compared to, like Daniel Dimes. I think I'd rather, if I had the choice if they're right next to each other, to draft him in the 10th or 11th round, obviously I'd personally go Deshaun Watson. But I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't like his ADP right now. I think he probably will drop a little bit. I mean, no, I mean, he's not going to drop because we're 2 days away from fantasy, but I don't know. I just don't know are people really taking him right there? Is that really the overall? Is he really the 8th round? Is that what you guys said?
So he is, let me tell you, Deshaun Watson. On Sleeper, he's going in the 7th round. ESPN, he's going in the 6th round. Yahoo in the 9th round.
Okay, yeah, that's not great value for him. But I do like the talent, and I do think he is a top 10 quarterback. So it is scary, but I'm gonna go optimistic, and I think he will finish inside the top 10.
You guys want to make a bet?
Yeah, I will. I definitely will. I mean, like something I wanted to say actually is our original rankings. I remember we did this in researching it. Deshaun Watson was going as like the QB 16 in ADP, and I had him in my like top 8, and then I think you had him pretty close to top 10 too, even Shane. And then I looking now, he's being drafted as a QB 10. You know, so I think we definitely projected this rise of Deshaun Watson's ADP. I feel like it was a kind of an obvious one because a lot of people are going to be excited about what he can do in this offense. And he simply is. There's no bigger wild card in the whole entire NFL than what Deshaun Watson can do for the Browns. It truly is the biggest wild card we've seen in a while in the NFL. This he can make the Browns a true legitimate contender with the Chiefs. Like they could be that good, or they could just be a dumpster fire bottom 5 team. Like he really is that big of a wild card. And I understand what Shane was saying last year was a mess, but I just am pretty confident he's going to get back to the old Deshaun.
Let's make a bet. I bet Danny Dimes finishes higher than Deshaun Watson.
I'd make that bet for sure.
Oh, you think Danny Dimes is going to finish higher?
No, I'll make the bet that Watson.
Oh, you want to do the bet? Okay. I'll give you each $20 if and then you each have to give me $20. Okay.
Virtual shake. Virtual shakes.
Okay.
I'm gonna be $20 for at the end of the season.
Yeah, start a notes tab of our bets that we make so we can look back on them at the end of the season.
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely gonna have a lot throughout the
Flip it in the chat and post it to TikTok, Dan, please.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely keep note because we're gonna have a lot of little water bets throughout the season, I'm sure.
Aha, little fantasy footballers reference.
Yes, sir. You guys want to get into our QB8?
Yeah.
A little weird. Last week, our top 10 running backs, our 8th running back was Derrick Henry, and all 3 of them had him at 8. And now our QB8 is Trevor Lawrence. He's going as a QB8 in consensus drafts, and we all have him as our QB8. So I guess we all have a weird lucky 8 thing going on. But Trevor's going to be so fun, so good with Calvin Ridley coming over as their new alpha. The Jaguars are going to be great. They were really fun last year on offense. Peterson was awesome. I always call him Pedersen. But I feel like him and Trevor are just the perfect duo. They complement each other perfectly. And I think we're going to be saying that about Ridley and Trevor and next year. I think they're a perfect duo, and I think they complement each other perfectly. And I think Ridley complements Zay Jones and I'm blanking. Oh, Christian Kirk as well. I think that receiving trio is just perfect. So I definitely am really optimistic for the Jaguars, and obviously Trevor's going to be awesome.
So I think where Trevor Lawrence is going is absolutely perfect for if you start out 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. If you can go 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds and grab this guy in the 5th round, I feel like that's a perfect team right there with the floor that this guy has and then the ceiling that this guy has. He's a safe quarterback to have on your team. He's going to have plenty of boom weeks. He's not going to have his down weeks are going to be they're going to be okay weeks that won't hurt your team. So like the guys that we have above him, I think have more boom potential on a week-to-week basis. This guy, he's just going to be a safe pick for you.
Oh yeah, I mean Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I still have a little bit of salt in my wound from him.
Wait, stop, pause. You need to let that go. The Chargers were not going to win the Super Bowl either way.
And I wake up and it's the first thing on my mind every day.
Like, I get it sucks. That's how it ended. But you have to understand the Chargers were not going to win the Super Bowl. Just let this young, exciting team have their glory. Move on. The Chargers are going to have a great season this year. Truly, the Chargers could make the Super Bowl this year. Maybe not with Staley. We'll see. But you got to just let it go. Okay.
I'll try my best. I would love to let it go. It haunts me. Internally, it haunts me. It's horrible. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me as a football fan. And, if only it was that easy just to brush it off. But, we'll pretend we are. But Trevor Lawrence is just such an amazing quarterback. I mean, he really is such a generational prospect. And watching him throw the ball, it blows me away. I mean, he just does it with ease. And I mean, he's so versatile too. I mean, he can actually take off and run the ball pretty well. I mean, he scored, was it five rushing touchdowns last year. I absolutely love that amount, and about 300 rushing yards for a guy like him. That's perfect. That's all you're going to ask for. And he throws the heck out of the ball. I mean, his passing attempts the last 2 seasons, 602, 584. That's a lot. So Jacksonville wants to throw the ball. Year 2 with Doug Peterson, he's just going to improve. And I think Trevor Lawrence, we could be, number 8 feels, about right, but
Well,
we could
he
be eating our
finished.
words.
He finished as quarterback 8 last year, and I mean, he had over 4,100 yards, 30 total touchdowns, 25 passing, 5 rushing. So I mean, rushing is there. It's not a ton, but it's definitely there. There's definitely some value there in the rushing. And I mean, his weapons last year were great. Adding Calvin Ridley, he's this dude. As we're talking about him, I feel like he should be higher. It's just the guys we're going to talk about next. Like I said, it's just their breakout potential is more than what he has. It's tough though because he's so safe.
Oh yeah, Trevor Lawrence could be a top 5 quarterback all day long. 8 feels about safe and where I'm comfortable with him, but top 5 is not far out of reach for this guy. And I think next year he will be a top 5 quarterback.
If we're being completely honest, Trevor Lawrence has just as good a chance as Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow to finish as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. Like, they literally probably all would have the exact same chance. I don't know about Fields and Lamar because of their rushing abilities, but Trevor being drafted as a QB8, going more than a round after Herbert and more than 2 rounds after Burrow, when he's really not that far off, like just play style wise. Obviously they're all great talents, but I just feel like production wise and play style wise, I feel like Trevor will be up there, and he definitely has the upside to finish higher than each of them or either of them. I feel like all 3 of those are pretty interchangeable, and he's going a lot later than all of them. I feel like he might be the one top quarterback at least that is actually kind of being drafted at his floor right now because of how freaky some of these top quarterbacks are.
Yeah, he's being drafted at his floor.
Yeah, he's being drafted, I feel like, league winning territory with his ADP right now. I think if you're getting Trevor at his actual ADP, I mean, that is like a league winning quarterback right there. That's what you want. And I think the production you're gonna get out of him just is gonna way overpay his value.
One more thing. If you get Calvin Ridley at the end of your 3rd round or the early 4th round, don't even look anywhere else at quarterback. Just try your hardest to get Trevor Lawrence, because I feel like that stack is also very league winning stack with where at least Trevor's going. Trevor's just going too late.
Yeah, I saw that one throw that they had, and the connection's there. The connection's there. Even though I'm not sold, but the connection does seem to be there.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. The videos are already crazy. I'm so excited for the season to start and get the real highlights. We'll get into our NFL Seekers QB7. It's Justin Fields for the Bears. He's going as a quarterback 6. I have him as my QB5, and Josh and Shane are both a little lower at 7. I have to push Justin Fields up my list because of his rushing ability. He is just way too electric. The closest thing to Lamar Jackson, and that says a lot. So I'm really optimistic that Justin Fields will take a big step up as a passer. They improved the offensive line, they improved the weapons, they just improved everything around him. I feel like the Bears are kind of a lock to be the most improved offense in the NFL, just because I really do believe that Fields is an obvious lock to take a step up as a passer.
Definitely. I was torn between having Fields at I was torn between Fields and Herbert for who should be above who. Ultimately, I went with Herbert above Fields just because, and we'll talk about Herbert soon, but Fields, he's still, I feel like he's a little bit more volatile. He proved he had a great run last year, but he's still on a bottom, would you say bottom half offense, not on a great offense. I don't know, it's hard because his rushing makes him so valuable. I was looking at his attempts last year. He went on a stretch from week 6 to 13. He didn't play week 12. quarterback 8.551.175 with 18 attempts, 13 attempts, 15, 8, 14, 12. Those rushing attempts, I feel like that's not realistic. There's no way he's going to be carrying that over to this year on a week by week basis. Surely, because his career could be over if he's rushing that much every game. There's, as long as he can add value to his passing, and with DJ Moore, I think that will happen. It's just Justin Herbert's just more proven. Obviously, that's it. These two are so tough, and I'm like stumbling on my words because I still feel like I need to have Fields above Herbert just because of his rushing, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
No, the thing with Herbert too over Fields is Herbert's going to throw for twice the amount of yards and double the touchdowns as Fields. I mean, yes, Fields is probably, you know, neck and neck with Lamar Jackson in the rushing ability, but where you differ.
You got it.
I can't talk. Differ.
Differentiate.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Try it again.
Well, I can't. There's a brain spasm apparently having in my mind where I can't say differentiate. I can't say the word.
Differentiate.
I can't get it out of my mouth.
Wait. All right, wait. Just slow down and try it again.
Differentiate. Yes. Oh God. God damn me sometimes in my brain. And now I just totally lost my train of thought on what I was talking about. But okay, no. Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields. Okay. All right, we're back on track. Focus, you guys. But where Lamar Jackson is gonna take a big step above like Fields is passing, because Lamar Jackson is actually capable of throwing for 3,000-4,000 yards. Where I think Fields, you kind of cap him right now at about 25 to maybe 3,000 at best. I mean, last season was the most passing yards. That was 2,200, and then the year before was 1,800. And so the passing is just not elite or there yet. We haven't seen it. But I mean, where he separates himself is just, what he did last year running the ball was truly just different. I mean, there were some games where he looked like a running back. He's breaking out. I mean, better than a running back, to be honest with you. I mean, he was busting out 85-yard runs like they were nothing on like a week-to-week basis. It was insane. And so, I mean, that's where Justin Fields' upside is. And I mean, that's what you're betting on him to do, what he did last year at the end of the season, which, like Shane said, can you really count on him getting 15 carries a game? I mean, is he going to get hurt? I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. What he did last year at the end of the season was legit. I mean, how many games did he rush for over like 150 yards in the last, say, 8 weeks?
2.
Oh, that's it? Okay. I guess that's not that much. I felt like he ran for like over 150 and like
he had 178 in week 9, 147 week 10, and 132 week 17. Everything else was below 100 rushing yards.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's going to have those boom weeks with rushing, but I mean, you want him to stay healthy, and I hope he progresses and gets better as a passer. But yeah, I just can't put him above those elite top tier names yet, because I mean, the dude's best season was 2,200 passing yards and 17 touchdowns. That's just not elite passing to me, but you are betting on the running upside with Fields.
Yeah, Herbert's definitely the safer option. He's the higher floor option if that's what you're going for. I do find myself taking Fields just right over Herbert for I honestly just get vibes of last year's Jalen Hurts. I just think that he can be last year's Jalen Hurts. I think he can take a big step up as a passer, and it is going to be hard to sustain that rushing ability, but hopefully he can get more touchdowns and it kind of evens out. I do think he's going to be pretty electric, and he's going around where Jalen Hurts went last year. So I just think it's good value. All right. And with that, we'll move on to our NFL Seekers consensus quarterback 6. He's being drafted as the quarterback 7, just 2 spots after Justin Fields, right next to him. I have him as my QB 7. Josh has him at 3, and Shane has him at 6. Let's just hear why you have him at 3, Josh. We'll just go right to you.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it.
You know what? How many more records can my records break? Is what Justin Herbert is saying to you. Coming off of, let's see, broken ribs, a torn labrum in his left arm. My boy, in his worst season playing football, threw for 4,700 yards and 25 touchdowns with broken ribs and a torn labrum.
Then why was he playing?
I don't know how that feels, but I don't assume it feels good. And so Justin Herbert could not run the ball last year. He still ran 146 yards, but he could not run the ball. He had broken ribs and a torn labrum. I will say that 15 times. People forget about this. This guy is generational. He is different. He has by far the best offensive coordinator he's ever had. Going from Joe Lombardi to Kellen Moore is going to be night and day different. Joe Lombardi capped Justin Herbert's ceiling so much. It was just sad to watch a guy with this talent. And then maybe that was also because of his injury. So maybe I'm not going to blame it all on Joe Lombardi. But with Kellen Moore and adding another offensive weapon like Quentin Johnston, this dude has all the potential in the world to finish up there with Mahomes. And you know what? Disrespect him all you want. He's him. He is him. Okay. And just you're laughing at me for having him at 3, Shane, but he's gonna finish. You want to make another bet?
I would love to make another bet that will give.
I want to make a bet on this one. Justin Herbert will finish at least top 3.
Okay, Justin Herbert will not finish top 3.
Okay.
Okay, what is that? We're doing $20 every bet.
Yeah, let's do $20 on this.
And then at the end of the season, we'll even it out. Whoever owes who what, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay. Shake on it.
Dan, you want in?
I don't, because I think Josh is just kind of just betting that Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Mahomes are all going to get injured, because I just don't think that Herbert, even in his best season, could finish higher than Josh Allen in fantasy football. In fantasy football, in his best season, he could win the MVP in real football. But in fantasy football, I just don't see how he could finish higher than Allen, Jalen Hurts, obviously Mahomes. I don't know. I definitely could see quarterbacks.
The Chargers' weapons are substantially better than Josh Allen's. I mean, Josh Allen running upside is obviously a lot better. But think about the offensive weapons. Who's Josh Allen's wide receiver to?
Well, to be fair, Josh Allen has the best connection in the whole NFL. Now that Devontae Adams left the Packers, him and Diggs just have a undeniable connection. But I will say Herbert and Mike Williams are developing like a top 3, top 5 connection in the NFL. So I definitely am not trying to like knock it at all. I just think I would have Josh Allen higher, obviously. But I understand, like, Herbert is an absolute alien. We've been calling him that for a while, and obviously bringing in Quentin Johnston, who's my wide receiver 1 in this rookie class. I'm really excited for him. He reminds me of Demaryius Thomas, and I think it's going to be a big boost for Herbert. So I am really excited, obviously, with Kellen Moore coming in as well. It's obvious that Herbert's going to be better than last year, because he couldn't really run, like you said, with his injury. He's a good runner. He gets involved in the run game, and as smart as Kellen Moore is, you know that he's going to draw up some designed runs in the goal line situation. So he's going to have some touchdowns, and he's definitely going to be better than last year. I just don't know if I could go as high as you're going.
Yeah. Also, Dak Prescott in 2021 under Kellen Moore, 4,500 passing yards, 37 touchdowns. All right, there's a big difference between Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, in my humble opinion. So I think we're going to see Justin Herbert's best season yet, and I think it's going to be the Chargers collectively their best season in a long time. And I'd be going against my religion if I did anything lower for him. So I will not do that.
We're gonna have to start digging this kid's grave when the Chargers get knocked out of the playoffs, because his hopes are way too high coming into the season. When they get knocked out, it's over for him.
You know what? This is it. This is the final ride. I'm gonna say that right now. It's all in. You know, there's gonna be half the team gone next season, so this is all in. If I don't pour my heart and soul into this season for these guys, you know, this is it. This is it.
This is definitely it. If the Chargers charger one more time, then Stores is off the podcast. I know for a fact. I know him well. He's going to quit. He's going to quit watching football for the rest of his life. He's going to quit talking football. I know. So yeah, hopefully the Chargers don't charger.
Thanks.
It's gonna sound like we're knocking on Herbert, and like we're not at all. Like, I love him. He's probably gonna. He could finish top 3. Like, there's a world where it happens, but obviously I don't see it happening for where I have him ranked, and I just made a bet on it. I just think we need to bring Josh a little back down to earth a little bit. Herbert last year, I know you keep mentioning he had these injuries. At the end of the day, they weren't bad enough for them to take him out. They kept playing him. He played, hold on, let me double check.
Oh yeah,
He,
he's
he
tough.
played
He's
he played 17 games last year. He played every game last year, and he
tough as
finished.
nails. This guy is, I want to say, have you seen that SpongeBob episode where they go to the salty spittoon and SpongeBob's trying to get in?
I,
Come on, you know your SpongeBob references.
Go on. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Herbert's that guy in line, and he's like, how tough are you? He's like, I ate a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk, Shane. That's who Herbert is. So he's in that salty spittoon, tough guy. He breaks rib cartilage in Kansas City game. He takes one play off and he literally goes back in, tries to run the ball. He can't run. Next play, throws a 40-yard rope to DeAndre Carter for a first down on like 4th and 10. This guy is just on a different level. He's built different, and Shane just had to get up and walk out because I just roasted him so hard on this guy. But get out of here, Shane. Justin Herbert's him, and my religion is Eugene, and it's Eugene, Oregon. So Sheldon High Fishing Club is my religion, and I'm gonna my founder of that club right here is I have to ride or die with him.
So to anyone that was listening up until this point, they're gone. There's absolutely no one listening to this podcast right now.
If you're still in this
episode
45 minutes later, thank you. We love you.
I was worried when we got to Herbert because I knew Josh was going to go on some wild tangent, like he's high on something right now. So on real talk now, as I was saying, he still played 17 games last year. Sure, he was hurt, but he still played them. He finished as a quarterback 11. He sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
He's horrible.
he was great last year. He had 2 bad weeks in the playoffs last year. But Todd, I guess all I'm doing right now is arguing against your number 3 finish, because seriously, how can you finish better than like a Jalen Hurts or a Lamar Jackson or a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen, who you have him above Josh Allen? It's just like, I get the potential is there, but when it comes to fantasy football, it's just not going to happen. He's going to be a great quarterback to have in your team. Let's see where he's going. He's going on average about the 5th round. He's sleeper 4th round, ESPN. Okay, well, middle of the 4th round.
Great value. It's great value.
No, he's going middle of the 4th round.
Great
which
value.
Honestly is where he probably should be going. But your drive team with the risk of another quarterback 11 finish. Say what you want, but he can still finish there. That's where he finished last year. Let's take a look here.
What did he finish in 2021? What was it?
Okay, so 2020 he finished as a quarterback 9.
Yeah.
2021 he had a good year, quarterback 2, and
That's what I thought, baby. They just had to let you say it.
I actually didn't realize he was that good in 2021. Well, I mean, dude fell off, and he's not going to be there again, especially not this year. He's good, definitely draft him, but quarterback 3 or better, there's no way.
5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns, baby, in 2021. Expect that this year in the 4th round. That is value. Pick him.
Here, I'm gonna help your case with value by going into our quarterback 5, because our quarterback 5, Joe Burrow, he's going as a quarterback 5, but he is going over 1 round earlier than Justin Herbert. He's going late 3rd round. So, like, I'll be honest, that's a pretty scary 3rd round pick, as awesome as Joe Burrow is. Just a quarterback with limited rushing upside in the 3rd round. He's the first kind of limited rushing upside quarterback you're going to be taking in drafts. So it is a little scary. But that's all the negative I'm going to say about Joe Burrow, because the guy is an absolute monster. I have him as my QB 6. Josh has him at 6. Shane has him at 4. He comes in at quarterback 5, and at the end of the day, he's going in the 3rd round because the Bengals are going to have a top 2 offense in the whole NFL.
Do you want to know what Herbert is better? Sorry, Burrow is better than Herbert. Fantasy wise, we're talking fantasy here. He's going to be better than Herbert simply because of his weapons and the offense he's on. I'm sure the Chargers are going to be better, but I would much rather have a quarterback thrown to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who would be a wide receiver 1 anywhere else. Then Herbert, who's going to be throwing to Keenan Allen half the time. And then he's going to be out half the time. And then Mike Williams, who's going to play maybe a quarter of the season. And then a rookie Quentin Johnston. And then a 38-year-old Gerald Everett. I would much rather have the weapons that Joe Burrow has than Herbert has. That's just how it is.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, yes, Burrow does. I mean, as his top two receivers and even Boyd, yeah, he's probably. I mean, the Bengals have had the best wide receiver duo and trio here for quite a while. So I do agree with that. But yeah, Joe Burrow is just his 2 seasons he's played. This dude is just a machine. He just seems like a robot in a sense to me. He's probably the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Back-to-back 30-plus touchdown seasons. I'm not going to hate on Joe Burrow in any means. This dude is he just goes out there and he performs. And he just reminds me of like not that I was, even alive during the Joe Montana time, but what I pictured Joe Montana to be. Just Joe Cool, just out there, just so calm, collective, poised, and he's just going to throw touchdowns. Every game you can rely on Joe Burrow just throwing touchdowns. You're never going to have a game where he's not throwing a touchdown. And so, I think quarterbacks, 5, 6 is a good range for him, but it does scare me at his ADP because the third round, I don't know, for some reason, unless it is like a Hurts or a Mahomes right now for me, like third round is scary. So I do, even though it's a round later, it just feels a lot more comfortable drafting Justin Herbert in the 4th than Joe Burrow in the 3rd.
Yeah, it looks like Shane is drafting him at his ADP, but I will say, I honestly just don't think I'll be drafting much of Joe Burrow just because of the quarterbacks we've been talking about before him. They're just really good options that are going later. I don't know if the drop off is going to be too bad compared to Burrow. Obviously, Burrow's going to be a beast, but I think the only scenario I would reach on him in the 3rd round is if I got Jamar Chase as the 2nd overall pick. I think that really is the only time I'd want him where he's going.
I was seriously going to say exactly what you just said. I don't think I'm going to be drafting Joe Burrow ever this year, which sucks because he would be amazing to have in my team. But unless I'm taking Patrick Mahomes in the 2nd round, I'm probably not taking quarterback till the 5th round with a Trevor Lawrence and later, just because there's such great value still there with guys who can still finish higher than guys like Burrow and Herbert and Fields who we've talked about. It's just a little too rich for my blood. There's, let's see. So Burrow right now, he is going, end of the 3rd round. There's like running backs here. Let's look at, would you rather have Jahmyr Gibbs or Joe Burrow?
You have to take Gibbs.
You have to. The pure up, you have to take Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have Najee Harris or Joe Burrow?
Najee Harris.
Closer to Najee, yeah.
Yeah, so that was running back. Let's see what kind of wide receivers are going around him. End of the 3rd. Wow, all right. Side note, T. Higgins is going way too high. Would you rather have Calvin Ridley or Joe Burrow?
Probably Ridley. It's close, but probably Ridley.
Yeah, I would rather take the upside with the receiver. It's hard. It's hard stomaching taking a quarterback literally outside of Mahomes and probably Jalen Hurts just because of how good Jalen Hurts was last year. It's hard to stomach taking a quarterback other than those two. And I don't even really want to take those two, to be honest with you. I don't like drafting a quarterback before round 4. So it's hard.
Even with how low I am, I think I'm the lowest in Calvin Ridley. I think I'd rather have Calvin Ridley in the 3rd round for his pure upside than taking a quarterback right there.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just where he's going. It's such a tough spot. It seems like over the last couple of years, quarterbacks are just creeping up higher and higher in their ADP. I miss how it used to be where they were definitely later. But, times are changing. So, I won't be touching much of Joe Burrow, unfortunately, unless he falls. You never know. He could fall 4th round. But he's going to be great. He's going to finish higher than Herbert. It sucks. It feels like I'm talking heat on Herbert. I love the dude. It's just like, Stores brings this out in me. I need to frick him back down to earth.
It's the same with Burrow for me, because I believe full-heartedly in my mind that Burrow is and was the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL, and he's earned that. And I don't think I can draft him with Herbert, Fields, Lawrence, and those 3 all going rounds after him. I just don't think I can do it when I don't think they're that far off.
Yep.
Fantasy wise.
Yeah, this is all fantasy wise what we're talking about. So Yeah, and I agree. Joe Burrow was the second, probably played like, I mean, it's probably like a 2A, 2B with Jalen Hurts last year on how they played. But like, yeah, Joe Burrow played some of the best football we've seen in a long time from a quarterback, up with there with Mahomes and stuff. But yeah, fantasy wise, it's just too rich. The third round is just too rich for him.
And he didn't have Jamar Chase for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and he still finished as a quarterback 4.
Yeah, that's awesome. He doesn't really need him. I feel like if he has Higgins, he'll be just fine. And obviously, Jamar Chase and him are just a legendary connection, literally one of the more legendary connections dating back to LSU. So he's going to be awesome. And if you're worried about his injury, he is back practicing. So Joe Burrow is going to be a beast if he falls a little bit. If you can get him in the 4th round, I think it's awesome. We'll get on to our QB4, and it's someone that we were really high on in our initial rankings when he was being ranked a little bit lower than he definitely should have been. But now he is rising back up. He's going as a QB4, right where we have him. I have him as my QB4, and Shane and Josh both have him at 5. And I'm just so excited for this Ravens offense with Todd Monken coming in, Zay Flowers, Odell coming in, Mark Andrews coming back healthy, with Lamar coming back healthy and paid. He's going to be motivated to go out there and play good. He's not going to be sitting out for silly injuries because he didn't get paid anymore. He's going to have to go out there and prove it. And I'm really optimistic that the Ravens can take a big step up offensively and production wise. And I just think we're going to get back to that MVP form, Lamar, and he's going to take over fantasy. I said that last year. I drafted him last year and he kind of burned me.
Well,
actually, I didn't. I got finessed of him. I was planning on drafting him. I drafted Mark Andrews, and then I had to trade for him later in the season because I had to get Kyler. So that was a disaster.
Little did you know, it was a blessing in disguise that you didn't draft Lamar. Although he did start off this first few weeks ridiculous, and then it was all downhill from there. It seems like the fantasy community as a whole has so much hope for this Ravens offense. They struggled last year. I think Todd Monken does play a big role in that. Hopefully he should air it out more with Lamar. He does have a better wide receiver core than last year, although his wide receiver core is still kind of Odell. If he can stay healthy, he's gonna be good enough. He's got a great tight end in Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. If he is healthy and if he is happy enough with front office and he plays, he's going to be great. There's still some question marks. Obviously, Zay Flowers. I'm a big Zay Flowers fan. If all his weapons are there, it's going to be a big season for Lamar, and then of course his rushing upside. But last year proved he can still maybe bust is too heavy of a word, but no, he can bust. The quarterback 14 is definitely a bust. A lot of hope, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. It's tough because he's also being drafted right around where Joe Burrow's going. So I don't think I'm going to be getting much of Lamar Jackson this year.
You just gotta hope.
Just make sure you keep Zay Flowers' name out your mouth with our draft a few days away. Just keep his name out of your mouth, bro.
Brother. I promise you will not be getting him.
Trust me, I am. Trust
me. Lamar Jackson. I mean, if he can just be healthy, I think that's his biggest thing. I mean, Lamar Jackson past 2 seasons has only played 12 games, so he has. I mean, I don't know if he's actually ever had a fully healthy season, if he's played a full, 17-game season.
He hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, the dude, he's pretty small, he's pretty skinny. And so, I mean, it's just hard for him to stay healthy, especially when you're, trying to run for 1,000 yards a season like this dude is. But I mean, if we're getting 2019, 2020 Lamar Jackson, then the 3rd round would be a steal, but we're getting 2023 Lamar Jackson where we don't know if he'll play more than 12 games. So there's a high risk with Lamar Jackson, but there's also a really high reward. Because I mean, we've seen prime Lamar Jackson. Prime Lamar Jackson's 3,000 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 1,200 rushing yards, to add along with 7 touchdowns. That was 2019. That was absolutely ridiculous. That was one of the most electric seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback, dual threat. And that was just nuts. And so if we're getting that Lamar Jackson, 3rd round would be great. But I mean, coming off of 2 seasons, only playing 12 games, it just scares me. And I don't think I want any part of Lamar Jackson, especially where he's going to be drafted. But I mean, he is a high risk, high reward type of player. And I think he's probably one of the most high risk, high reward players in all of fantasy right now.
Just real quick, you did mention how skinny he is, and that is always something that's kind of hindered him. But he did bulk up last year, and it showed. It did help him as a passer, and he still looked pretty dynamic as a runner. And he bulked up even more this year. I know he got hurt last year still, but he bulked up even more this year, and it looks like he's built, and I feel like just him being built is helping him as a passer, and it helps him as a runner as well because he hasn't really lost that much dynamism. So I am happy that he's putting on weight and taking that health into consideration now that he's paid.
And I do think, with Todd Monken, there's a good chance, a little bit, not necessarily to hinder his fantasy value, but in a good way, a little bit less rushing and more airing it out. Hopefully that will help. That could help him stay healthy too.
For sure. I would love to see Lamar Jackson succeed. That'd be, and if you could have a prime Lamar Jackson on your fantasy team, that would be so fun. That would be one of the most electric players to cheer for week to week. If you're getting like 2019 Lamar, which Dan was hoping he was gonna somehow get Lamar and then have him have that season. But yeah,
You're 1 year too early, buddy.
It's gonna be this year.
This year, Dan. Yeah, hopefully you get Lamar this year and he can break out for you.
I'm gunning for him. What he did to me last year doesn't even affect me. I'm still gunning for him, man.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most electric players in all football. So I'm definitely rooting for him to stay healthy. I'd love to see an electric Ravens offense. I mean, and Zay Flowers and Odell, I think, are going to be perfect complements to Lamar. I think they fit his skill set extremely well.
Yeah. And I just think he's going to have a really good passing season with Monken coming in, the new weapons coming in, him bulking up. I think it's good vibes for Lamar, and I'm really excited to draft him. We'll get into our NFL Seekers QB3. He's going as a consensus QB3 as the 12th overall pick in the second round, very end of the second round. I have him at 3. Shane has him at 3, and Josh has him as his QB2. Jalen Hurts is an absolute monster. Last year, he took the whole NFL world by storm, the fantasy world by storm. He was by far the biggest fantasy football league winner when you just put points into consideration, because he's just a point scorer. He can do it on the ground, through the air. It doesn't really matter. He's going to score like 5 or 6 touchdowns every single week. It's pretty incredible. The guy's a beast, and I don't really see him taking a step down. Stores mentioned a few episodes ago that Brian Johnson coming in as their offensive coordinator he kind of expects them to pass the ball more, and I can definitely see that. I think that they'll kind of lean into A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith more with Miles Sanders leaving. So I'm really excited for that passing game, and I think Hurts will be electric on the ground and in the air.
Dan, you do have an inside scoop with Brian Johnson. Why don't you reach out to him and
see
the plan is?
Dan.
yeah, lifelong friend with the Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson. So we'll definitely have to try to get him on for like an interview. That'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
Yes.
Definitely reach
out to him.
Yeah.
So Jalen Hurts, a bad week for him was finishing as the quarterback 12 on a week-to-week basis. That was a bad week, and he only finished 12 or worse twice. He finished that twice. Other than that, he started out 4, 3, 2, 15, 3, 12, 2, 6, 4, 6, 2, 1, 2, 1. Like, I cannot believe he didn't finish as the quarterback 2 or 1. Just looking at, if you really look back at his what he did last year, that just goes to prove how ridiculous Patrick Mahomes is. The only kind of scary thing I would say about this, last year you got a true steal value out of this dude. This year he's being drafted almost at a ceiling. He's being drafted in the second round. Like, that is late second round. I'll call it a 2-3 turn. That is early for a dude who has one, granted, great season, but it's only been one. He's still got to keep proving that he can finish as a top 3 guy in fantasy. But yeah, and on Sleeper, he's going with the 210, this 10th pick in the second round. That is crazy early for any quarterback, let alone a guy who just broke out last year. That's the one bad thing, I guess I would say.
Yeah, with Jalen Hurts, I do feel very comfortable. I think I'm not touching a quarterback unless his name is Patrick Mahomes in the first 2 rounds, but I feel comfortable with naming him as QB2. I mean, this dude did have back-to-back 10+ rushing touchdown seasons. I mean, 2021, 10 rushing touchdowns, 784 rushing yards. Last season, 760 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, he's putting up running back numbers, legit running back numbers, back-to-back 10+ touchdown seasons in rushing is no joke. And he's also doing it through the air. I mean, back-to-back 3,000 plus passing yard seasons with last year 3,700 passing yards and 22 touchdowns. That's legit. That's what I'd like to see out of Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields will get there. I don't think he's nearly the passer as Jalen Hurts is or ever will be. But I mean, this is what you picture peak Justin Fields being. But Jalen Hurts is already there. He proved it last season. I think he was him, but other than Patrick Mahomes, he was probably the best player in football last year. I mean, his season was just so phenomenal. And I mean, no slouch. His team definitely helped. I mean, I think Gardner Minshew went in there and won like all the games that he played. So I mean, this Eagles team was legit. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. You know, maybe argue with the Bengals, but the best, 1A, 1B wide receiver core. So this team's legit, and Jalen Hurts is their best running back and quarterback. So you're getting a 2-for-1 value, and I think for quarterback, in my opinion, too, that is great value.
Real quick, I will say you mentioned Justin Fields, and I gotta say, like, Jalen Hurts, I don't know if you guys remember, but he was a rough passer of the football, like his rookie year and his senior year in college. He wasn't that good as a thrower of the football. And Justin Fields was kind of drafted as a passer. He wasn't really drafted. No one really knew about his rushing ability at Ohio State because he didn't really run the ball at Ohio State. So, I mean, Justin Fields technically has just as high upside as Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts just happens to be the hardest worker in the entire NFL, so he reached it. So I guess it's TBD to see if Fields can reach that. But yeah, I don't know. I think Fields can reach that. Kind of a side tangent, but yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Noting on that, Jalen Hurts went from his rookie season completion percentage of 52 to last year's 66. So I mean, this dude has worked on his craft, and like you said, one of the hardest workers.
Another thing, so his rookie year 2020, 2021, and last year 2022, he played 15 games, and he's played 15 games in every season he's played in. His rookie year, he had 1,000 passing yards.
It was bad. I remember he was not good his rookie year.
I think we might be I think we're seriously looking at. I think Justin Fields is seriously Jalen Hurts 2.0, and he's already better than what Hurts was.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Like Fields was literally drafted as I think 11th overall pick as a passer because he didn't run the ball at Ohio State. No one knew that he had this rushing ability in him. So it Hurts was the late 2nd round pick, and that was kind of a reach by people. So yeah,
he did throw the hell of the ball at Ohio State. That one pass where he threw like that 80-yard dot against who was it, Georgia, and that he just I mean that game actually from Justin Fields. Now that I'm reminiscing, he absolutely got destroyed. I remember by like that Skrdowski linebacker like 3 times. He was hurt, and then he launched like some. I mean, that thing traveled like 80 yards. It was like one of the best throws I've ever seen. So, yeah, who knows? Yeah, maybe Justin Fields will break out. We'll see. I mean, I'd love to see it. I know I was like one of his biggest fans coming out of Ohio State, but he just really hasn't shown us his true passing upside yet. Which, I mean, he did get a better weapon in DJ Moore. Maybe this is the year. Who knows?
This quite literally, I think we seriously are looking at an exact replica of what happened last year. The breakout from Jalen Hurts. I think it's Justin Fields this year. They have the exact type of game. Yeah, maybe not. It won't be as much because of just the offense Jalen Hurts is on is so much better than the Bears and just obviously one of the best in the league. That's the one thing.
Yeah, I think that would be
and the team in general. The whole aspect of the team is so much better. The Eagles.
Yeah, that would be the biggest question mark, is like the offensive scheme for sure. But we'll get into our QB2, and all of these guys are just so close to each other. Josh Allen is going 3 picks ahead of Jalen Hurts. He's going as a QB2. I have him as my QB2. Josh has him at 4, and Shane has him at 2. And I'll be honest, I flip-flop between Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen every single day. I don't know who still. Our draft's in a few days, and I really don't know who I want to take if I was to take one of these guys, and I feel like I might because I do find myself taking a quarterback at the 2-3 turn often, and I just love both of these options, and I think they're kind of an advantage in fantasy. And as of right now, I'm taking Josh Allen because he's just been doing it for so long. He's had some seasons where he's finished with the most points in all of fantasy football, so I just think he can do that again pretty easily. Just the player he is, they lean into him so heavily in the run game. He's their literal like top rusher that they lean in on in the goal line. So he's just a beast. He's such a good passer. He lets it fly. He has such a good connection with Stephon Diggs. You could talk about Josh Allen all day. He's going to be awesome.
I think there's seriously there's not much else we can really say even about Jalen Hurts, but also Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Like we don't need to give our analysis on them. People know who they are. I think it comes down to where you want to draft them and who you'd rather draft them over. That's ultimately what it comes down to. When talking about these top three, well, I guess not Stores' top three, the real top three quarterbacks in Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. It just comes down to who you would rather have. If you want to take quarterback early, there's nothing wrong with, obviously Patrick Mahomes, but I wouldn't be mad. I will be considering taking Josh Allen in the second, depending on where I am, my situation and everything. But like, let's go down the line. Like, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Tony Pollard or Josh Allen?
Pollard because I'm very
Pollard all day. That's
because I'm very high.
All right. So for comparison right here, Josh Allen on Sleeper is going at the 206. Tony Pollard's going at the 209. Josh Jacobs or Josh Allen?
Josh Jacobs.
Barely.
What about, let's go to wide receivers here. To Amon-Ra or Josh Allen?
Amon-Ra. Oh, Amon-Ra. Come on, Shane.
Garrett Wilson or Josh Allen?
Garrett Wilson.
That's close, but I'm probably going Wilson.
All right, we'll make a little. Chris Olave or Josh Allen?
Chris Olave.
I think I might go Josh in that one.
I think I might go Olave. So pretty much 95% of those that we just mentioned, we picked the other guy. That's the tough thing about taking quarterback. If you take quarterback early, you have to hit on your running backs and wide receivers later. You have to.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Josh Allen is just so good. He's built like an alien. That's kind of what Josh Allen is. The guy with the strongest arm in the NFL, probably the strongest body, probably one of the hardest people to tackle when he's running. He's just ridiculous. You guys kind of said it all. I absolutely love Josh Allen. Having him at number 4 is just, it's no disrespect to Josh Allen. I just feel like the Bills are kind of on a downturn now. I feel like they've been Super Bowl contenders for so long. They've been up at the top, and I feel like they're just kind of their prime is kind of just running out.
One more. I'm giving them one more year.
I don't know. They should have won a Super Bowl by now with how talented they are, their whole team. I just feel like now we're on the steady decline. And I think I'm kind of mad at the Bills for just not getting Josh Allen a better wide receiver too. I mean, I think having Gabe Davis in today's NFL with this talented of a quarterback is just kind of stupid. I would have just loved to have seen them add somebody. I mean, they did add Dalton Kincaid, who I think does help Josh Allen a lot, but I just love to have seen a better wide receiver too on that team. I think he's got one of the worst wide receiver cores outside. Obviously, Diggs is Diggs. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL, but wide receiver core in general is probably near the bottom.
Replying to what you just said real quick, we're going to do our AFC East deep dive here in a couple of days, so I'm not going to go on too big of a tangent. But I think that's just Sean McDermott, their head coach. I just think having a defensive coach puts you at a certain ceiling, and I think that's what's ultimately holding the Bills back from getting over the Chiefs and getting over the actual cream of the crop, because they built their team in an incredible way to have a really solid roster, but it's just getting over the hump. I don't know if they can do that without Brian Dable. And so that I feel like that loss is just astronomical, but Josh Allen's going to be a beast in fantasy either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, should we get into the obvious number 1?
But yeah, let's just get it over with.
Do we even need to talk about this guy?
There's
Can we just go home? Can we just all just go?
Well, real quick, I had a draft over the weekend, last weekend, I had the eighth pick. It was a 14-man league, half PPR. At the eighth pick, I took Cooper Kupp at 8, and on the way back, Mahomes was there. That felt like an absolute steal to get Mahomes middle. I don't know what that math would be. Would that be the 206 or whatever? That felt like a steal because I think his ADP right now on Sleeper 201. ESPN is also 201. He's going first pick in the second round. So I got a steal out of Mahomes, and it truly felt like that. Any pick in the second round, I am fine taking Mahomes.
Yeah, I guess that's the only question that we can ask right now is, are you guys taking Mahomes in the second round, or where are you guys comfortable taking him? Like you said, if you can get him around the 206, 205, then that just feels like highway robbery. That would be fun.
Yeah, I don't think I'd feel bad at taking him at any pick. And I mean, I think right at the turn, it's a little hard just because there is such really good running back and wide receiver talent right there. But like, gosh, anything after like the, right there at the turn, I'd feel absolutely comfortable just thinking I'd get an absolute steal with him. So yeah. So what is that? What it would 2-3, 2-4, 2-5.
Yeah. 202. You're basically saying the 202 and on.
Yes. And I would be.
So would you rather go, let's say we'll call it 12-man league, obviously that's the best. Would you rather go Saquon at the end and then Patrick Mahomes, or like a Saquon and then an AJ Brown?
Yeah, I'd rather go Saquon, Pat Mahomes, personally.
Yeah. I think I'd go over AJ Brown, yeah. But if it was like CeeDee Lamb and Saquon, I think I'd probably go CeeDee and Saquon.
Yeah, but yeah, when you're like AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, to me, like I'd feel comfortable taking Patrick over those two.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I am as well. If people are following, then maybe don't take Mahomes. But if all the guys you like are going right before you, then just take Mahomes. It's not going to be a bad pick. I promise that.
No, you're going to get 30 plus get point games every week, and you can just be happy. You just don't have to worry about it. You can just smile because you're going to get 30 plus points a game. It's just
set it and forget it.
Yep.
All right.
Guys is kind of an asshole. He's just too good at the game, and it just makes me mad. So
yeah, we kind of got to get off this because me and Josh are Broncos and Chargers fans. We're gonna get some PTSD if we talk about this guy who's giving us nightmares all off season too much, and we got to see him next Thursday. So, really fun episode. I feel like we did a good job deferring all these quarterbacks who are really close, and Chiefs Lions 1 week from today. Chiefs Lions 1 week from today. So thanks for tuning into the NFL Seekers podcast. This was really fun, and stay tuned because we have a lot more coming out. So
peace.